Clicks, cash, and consequences. How OnlyFans affects women's lives, social value, and future opportunities. What if I told you there was a way to earn $10,000 to $50,000 per month as your own boss without a college degree or a grueling 9-to-5 job? Moreover, you could achieve this while working less than 10 hours a week while gaining VIP access to the world's most exclusive events and parties. All expenses paid trips to Europe, private jets, and backstage passes to major festivals around the world. And the catch to all this? To access this wealth and lifestyle, you must bite from the forbidden apple, bearing your soul and body to the world on camera with content that will eternally remain in the digital realm. This is the tantalizing proposition OnlyFans has presented to an entire generation of women, and they are embracing it en masse. Over 5,000 new models join the platform daily. From an outsider's perspective, it seems reasonable. In the age of social media, women already share revealing photos for free. Why not capitalize on this exposure and earn a fortune in the process? Initially, I believed OnlyFans to be a winning proposition for women and a losing one for men. Women could seize control of their sexuality, garnering financial rewards like never before and validation and lifestyle options. Meanwhile, men would sacrifice their time, money, and potential for a false sense of connection that ultimately empowered women. However, as I delved deeper into the recesses of the OnlyFans ecosystem, the truths I uncovered were deeply unsettling. In this piece, I will examine the clicks, cash, and consequences of OnlyFans, revealing the unanticipated and disquieting ways it impacts modern women's lives, futures, and opportunities. The information you're about to uncover is grounded in the reality of real women on the platform with real lives who dared to break their silence and expose the truth that has been kept hidden from the world. These are not merely my assumptions, but rather a collection of heartfelt confessions of women on OnlyFans who chose to step forward and issue a dire warning about the unnerving reality unfolding for an entire generation of women. The dangerous dopaminergic flywheel of OnlyFans. For men, the instant gratification from OnlyFans comes in the form of sexual release and artificial connection. But for women, it comes in the form of mass validation, fast cash, and a lifestyle upgrade. For the creators who get it right, they're able to earn multiple 6 figures and even 7 figures working only a few hours per month with the help of third-party talent agencies doing most of the heavy lifting. Receive endless validation from hundreds or even thousands of men, some of which have thriving careers and are actually attractive. Get VIP access to a lifestyle most women can only dream of. Trips on private jets, front row seats at sold-out events, bottle servicing their favorite DJs, exotic parties, festivals, you name it. And they get all of this without developing marketable or high-value business skills, without needing a formal degree or any form of professional education, without having to do most of the work themselves as profit-hungry agencies handle most of the marketing and customer service. The woman simply has to show up to a photo shoot and do her shoots. On the surface, you're probably thinking, this all sounds great, why not? And maybe you're even a bit jealous. But if neuroscience has taught us anything in the past decade, it's this. Chronic loads of unearned dopamine wreak havoc on the human psyche. What unfolds when an OnlyFans model can out-earn in a month what someone has spent decades building through a career, a business, or mastering a high-value skill while facing countless setbacks and failures to achieve a similar financial result or even less, simply by posting a few nudes, playing with toys, and having sex on camera? What happens when she has thousands of men telling her how beautiful she is, how much they desire her, how she can do no wrong, and how many fantasies they have about her, even when many of her photos are heavily doctored and edited with apps? With an abundance of free time on her hands as a result of not working most of the week, what unfolds when she is drawn into an apparently harmless way of life, encompassing partying, drugs, alcohol, and a never-ending stream of luxuries and pleasures all around the world? It's the perfect storm for women as much as it is for men. Just like with other forms of instant gratification, drugs, porn, alcohol, social media, video games, the end result is predictable. It's a new platform, but the unearned dopamine and the consequences that follow are the same. Among the numerous OnlyFans models that I encountered or even dated, not a single one of them was genuinely content or mentally stable, nor did they fully comprehend their situation. However, they believed it was a fleeting opportunity that they needed to capitalize on by going all in on the platform to get the most of the opportunity with little regard for what this meant for their future, Most of them had some level of substance abuse issues. All of them drank alcohol, smoked pot, did party drugs when going out, and were taking a combination of antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications. And no matter what we were doing or how much fun we should have been having together, they seemed like that inner spark inside of them had died. But wait a minute, I thought these women were living the dream, weren't they? You see, on the outside looking in at their social media profiles, you'd think they were living the perfect life that we'd all envy. It seems as though they have triumphed, basking in fruits of decades of feminist advancements that have paved the way for this exciting opportunity for women. They have seemingly liberated themselves from the relentless rat race, possessing a level of financial freedom that was once unimaginable. Their lifestyles transcend the boundaries of previous generations' wildest dreams. However, these unsuspecting women, driven by a desire to enhance their lives, eagerly embrace the tantalizing allure of OnlyFans, unaware of the unforeseen twists and turns awaiting for them on this uncharted path. As one delves deeper into the journey, unraveling the gradual descent into an unknown realm, the root of their discontent becomes strikingly apparent. Chasing the dream of more, enter the OnlyFans rat race for money, validation, and fame. On the surface, OnlyFans seems like a platform that empowers women, giving them a level of control over their schedule, their income, and sexuality that was rare in the entertainment industry. But when you look at the full picture, a very different story emerges, one that's much darker and with time, much more disempowering than I expected. Number 1, keeping up with the Kardashians and the pressure to stay relevant. Before exploring how OnlyFans is impacting women and society at large, we first need to answer the question, why? Why have millions of women decided to abandon the traditional paths, either of motherhood or pursuing a career, in favor of virtual sex work? At the most basic level, the answer appears to be twofold. First is the whole group of role models offered to modern women. Many of the most famous and widely celebrated female role models either rose to fame or retained their celebrity status by exploiting their sexuality and being eye candy for men. Kim Kardashian became famous because of her sex tape. Paris Hilton, Pamela Anderson, Margot Robbie, Emily Ratajkowski, Angelina Jolie, Natalie Portman, and even to show how not much has changed, Marilyn Monroe, many decades ago, have all made headlines through their fully nude appearances in movies or released sex tapes. Even popular music stars who play in hundreds of millions of homes like Miley Cyrus or Rihanna and Lady Gaga all appeared nude or mostly nude in music videos and even on stage. Everywhere we look, we see the same pattern playing out. The women that many younger women admire and emulate have leveraged their sexuality as a tool for fame and profit. And this is true even on a micro level. If you look at the average woman's Instagram, one can easily find an overwhelming ocean of partially nude models, fitness personalities, and self-proclaimed influencers who frequently share semi-nude photos, with many also engaging in activities on platforms like OnlyFans. These visuals sow seeds in the minds of young women, shaping their perception of what it takes to achieve success and recognition in today's world. Although there are exceptions to this rule, right? Like Sarah Blakely, Oprah, Sheryl Sandberg, the inescapable truth is that most women are taught from an early age to influence others, especially men, through their sexuality. But this has been the case for nearly half a century and is insufficient to fully explain the rise of OnlyFans. Which brings me to the second driver behind the mass adoption of the platform. Modern women find themselves burdened by the weight of unrealistic expectations imposed upon them, stemming from both the ideals of feminism and the pressures of traditional societal norms. Not only do women today have to deal with a demanding 9-to-5 job, paying increasing high rent, and the high stress of a demanding career, stressors that were historically outside of their role in society, but that stress is now compounded by the fact that traditional expectations for women haven't changed. She's still expected to find a husband, run the household, cook, clean, and have and care for children, always look pretty, and somehow retain her sanity through it all. And the women who don't follow suit are often ridiculed and ashamed by social norms. Women who work high-octane careers and earn large salaries are often bombarded by questions about when they're gonna settle down and get married and have kids, especially by even their own family. And many women who do settle down and get married and have kids early in life are attacked for their lack of being a lady boss or a bad bitch. Either way, she loses face socially. The result of these shifts, women are now twice as likely as men to experience a major depressive episode. Nearly 50% of women are expected to be single and childless by the year 2030. The suicide rate in women under 24 increased by nearly 50% in the last 40 years, catching up to men. And things are likely only going to get worse from here, which is why OnlyFans is accepted with open arms for so many women, at least on the surface. As the challenges of modern society continue to rise on women, OnlyFans seems like the natural response of women. Instead of working in a high-pressure corporate job dealing with sexual lewd comments from coworkers, women can earn just as much or far more than the average man by posting sexy content of themselves that are just more revealing than what they were already doing on social media, or just their feet in a superhero costume with a cucumber online. Instead of allowing male-led corporations to hypersexualize women for profit in advertising and the media and the entertainment industry, they've reclaimed control of their sexuality and are using OnlyFans to profit from men. Instead of feeling ashamed of their sexuality or desires, they're actively paid to explore them and share them with the world at scale on their phone in their bedrooms. In other words, OnlyFans gave women a platform to monetize their assets and greater control, or at least the illusion of it. Because the reality is that of the 1.5 million models on the platform, mostly women, the average creator earns about $150 a month, barely enough to pay for the internet connection and phone service they need to upload their content. This means that over 1 million women are permanently exposing their bodies and sharing intimate details of their lives online for a payout that's comparable to the value of a cheap office chair. This raises the question, is this true female empowerment, or is something else going on beneath the surface? Number 2, eternal echoes, the lasting perils of the upload. In the digital realm, permanence is an inescapable reality. Once your photos and videos are released into the wild, they are forever etched into the fabric of the internet, where they may resurface in other online spaces that you didn't consent to. And you have advances in artificial intelligence and facial recognition technology that will only heighten this vulnerability, as even the most innocuous background checks could unearth your past actions online for just a few dollars by anyone. The fleeting allure of financial gain driven by subscriber count and the sale of individual photos may provide a momentary sense of validation. However, the sale of a single image or video for $10 can bear far-reaching consequences. One need only consider the possibility of a rogue individual disseminating your content far and wide, stripping away any vestige of innocence and tarnishing your reputation irreparably. In the unforgiving landscape of the digital age, the pursuit of fleeting fame and fortune must be carefully weighed against the potential long-term consequences. So, even if they decide to abandon the creator lifestyle in the future, or decide they aren't willing to go the distance to earn a full-time living on the platform, the consequences of their short-lived experiment for a few $100s could be permanent on their career and family's lives. And for those creators who do manage to earn a good living on the platform and they are truly able to leverage OnlyFans to their advantage, or do they grapple with concealed and nefarious obstacles that remain unseen to the naked eye? Number 3, a star is born, the evolution of an OnlyFans model and the unsettling truths of sexual exploitation for profit. For the small handful of creators who successfully make the platform work for them, a clear pattern begins to emerge. One that I've witnessed firsthand with many women I personally know or have dated, the pattern of more. In the same way that many young men fall into porn addiction by first looking at some bikini photos, then graduating to fully nude images, and then watching videos of increasing explicitness until normal sexual acts are insufficient to get them off, many women start out on OnlyFans as an experiment with innocent intentions. You see, in the beginning, it's just a fun and playful way to make an extra income, doing something that they kind of enjoy, like they're modeling, and her content on OnlyFans basically mirrors the content on her social media channels with just kind of slightly better angles. She isn't revealing much, just a few bikini photos that she actually already had on her phone anyways and was sharing with friends. As soon as a creator has hooked their audience and begun to earn money and followers from it, it becomes increasingly difficult to stay relevant and maintain earnings with the same bikini photos or same level of sensual content that may have worked early on. It's human nature to always want more, and we see this nature on display from both the creators and consumers of OnlyFans. The subscribers' desire for constant evolution of the model and to get more from that model goes beyond merely just paying for the same content each month. When the income from innocent and genuine photos dwindles, the natural inclination for the creator is often to push the boundaries and go just a bit farther to salvage their declining account. The journey typically looks something like this: the girl next door. Women embark on OnlyFans venture by sharing cute photos they already stored on their phones. They tease their audience, hinting at enticing goods while maintaining a PG-13 level of content. Adorned in alluring dresses and heels, their posts exhibit a social media aesthetic, slightly enhanced angles. The initial surge of subscribers primarily consists of acquaintances from growing up, high school, college, and previous jobs they've had, a prospect that fills them with delight. The initial monthly payout brings elation given the minimal effort invested, just a few hours actually. This taste of opportunity fuels their enthusiasm for what lies ahead. In a bold transition, she shifts her focus to alluring images featuring thin-laced bikinis or partially obscured semi-nudes, delicately concealing her private areas with her hands. The ability to generate income independently inflates her conviction in the platform, viewing OnlyFans as a potent instrument for personal freedom and envisioning a promising future that she can do at home. As her income steadily expands, so does her lifestyle, a topic we'll talk about later. She's engulfed by this transformative journey. She begins to question her current career prospects and path and contemplates the possibility of quitting if the growth continues. A model's decisive moment. As the initial surge in income begins to wane, a sense of decline sets in. Subscribers gradually lose interest and migrate towards new creators who are willing to offer explicit content for equal or even lower prices. In this critical moment, she stands at a life-altering crossroads. She must decide whether to plunge deeper into this demanding rabbit hole, relentlessly pushing boundaries and testing her values to reclaim her prominence, or gracefully allow her account to fade and bring the experiment to a close. Confronted with the realization that alternative opportunities require greater effort for often less pay, the irresistible allure of the lucrative earnings on OnlyFans becomes impossible to ignore. Justifying that it isn't that far of a stretch from her previous risque content, she ultimately takes the plunge and reveals her most intimate self, and she uses OnlyFans geographical options under settings to block her account from being seen in her home state. So hopefully nobody finds out how far she's really gone. Gradually progressing from full nudity to incorporating sex toys and engaging sexually with other women, she experiences an unparalleled surge in both her income and subscriber growth. The intoxicating blend of fast cash and amplified validation captivates her sense of worth and drawing her deeper into the tantalizing realm of adult content on the platform. Her sex scene debut. Over time, the allure of full nudity and masturbation wanes as her income aligns with her elevated lifestyle. Once more, this happens. Fans driven by an insatiable hunger increasingly demand more from her. Despite her initial intentions to avoid getting to this stage, the necessity to sustain her financial flow and continue supporting her upgraded lifestyle compels her to give in to the fans' requests. Before long, she takes the plunge, introducing men on her channel and delving into the production of high-priced sex tapes to maintain her income and appease her subscribers. As the weight of this transformation takes its toll, she seeks solace in heightened drug usage and partying, employing it really as a coping mechanism to alleviate the profound loss of identity she experiences. Surrendering to darkness. In their pursuit of higher income and the unconscious drive to remain relevant on the platform, which they have linked to their self-worth, creators find themselves escalating the explicitness of their content, with some of their scenes on par with abusive porn scenes. This decision is driven by their desire to keep their fans happy. As a result, they engage in acts they never would have considered before. The shocking nature of these changes leaves those who knew them closely prior to their career shift surprised and bewildered. Consequently, their relationships with family become strained and tarnished as they uncover the unsettling news. The jet-setting escort. Due to her vast reach, affluent men catch sight of her online presence and see her willingness to fulfill nearly any desire for the right price. She finds herself on the precipice of going offline and becoming a sex worker. Having grown up in a lower to middle class lifestyle, the allure of first-class flights, complimentary private jets, extravagant journeys to breathtaking destinations, and exclusive mansion parties becomes irresistible. The stretch from what she is already doing at this stage, succumbing to these tempting offers, is really small. She takes on the role of an esteemed companion for the wealthy, or fraudulent, horny men who appear wealthy on social media, expected to engage in sexual acts until a younger and more attractive woman replaces her. I want to be clear that not every woman follows the trajectory that I've just described here, and some may stop at the bikini stage. However, for many models on the platform, the journey from an ordinary girl next door to a full-blown porn star and escort becomes their reality. The gradual nature of this evolution, with each one offering more income and validation, makes it more difficult for them to realize how far they have gone until they have gone all the way. While the allure of OnlyFans may initially promise freedom, the question arises, who truly holds the reins of control? As she reveals the most intimate aspects of her life, the pressure to meet ever-increasing demands can be overwhelming. The sense of not doing enough looms constantly, which can lead an innocent creator who once had a bright future down an irreversible path she never thought she'd find herself in. Number 4, when the spotlight turns dark. In the world of online platforms like OnlyFans, numerous models confront a daunting reality: the risk of being stalked and threatened in real life. This unnerving situation can intensify to the extent that their private information, such as their home address and details even about their family members, is malevolently disseminated online. The revelation of such intimate details breeds an atmosphere of insecurity, leaving these individuals susceptible to unwanted attention and potential danger, so much so that they fear even leaving their homes. It takes but a single mentally unstable individual, empowered by the cloak of the internet anonymity, to disrupt and potentially imperil the lives of these models. This person may become so fixated on the model, feeling as if the private messages are genuine and may lead to a real relationship. It could potentially be their first experience receiving such emotional and sexual responses from such an attractive young woman. This fixation can manifest in obsessive monitoring of the model's social media presence to identify her frequent whereabouts, attempts to establish personal contact, and even threats of physical harm if not positively received by her in person. One OnlyFans model reported that a man would break into her home, hide in her attic, then film her while she was sleeping. The mere possibility of such an occurrence casts a somber shadow over the lives of these models, leaving them with an ongoing sense of unease and fear for their safety. Many models fail to consider that their online actions have real-world consequences, that those messages actually mean something to somebody. Throughout the rest of their lives, whenever they face a lingering gaze in public or at work, they will painfully recognize that the observer could potentially be a former subscriber who has witnessed the most intimate aspects of their life and may have indulged in their content for years in private. The cloak of anonymity grants individuals the audacity to overstep boundaries, transforming admiration into obsession and reverence into peril. Paradoxically, the very platform intended to empower can unwittingly cultivate an environment rife with unwarranted attention, leaving them devoid of security wherever they may reside or tread. Number 5, the competitive abyss: youth, beauty, and value on OnlyFans. One of the most insidious ways in which OnlyFans impacts women in the modern era is by ensnaring them in a zero-sum game where inevitable loss awaits. As we will explore in further detail, various forces converge to ensure the inevitable obsolescence of OnlyFans creators, with other women standing at the forefront of these challenges. Though it might defy conventional correctness, we must confront a truth. Every day, the platform witnesses an influx of 5,000 new models, mostly women, who possess youth, physical allure that captivates men, and an openness to explicit content surpassing the existing creators before them. This ongoing elevation of expectations regarding the content demanded on the platform perpetuates a fiercely competitive environment for the models. And unlike traditional porn, where a man can simply click from one video to the next, OnlyFans subscriptions are paid. Consider this scenario. a man is faced with a choice between a woman who only does semi-nude content and opts not to engage in explicit acts on camera. On the other hand, there's a new, younger woman who wants to make it on OnlyFans and eagerly fulfills his sexual requests and more. Who do you think gets his money? OnlyFans has created an ecosystem where a woman's beauty and promiscuity are now productized at scale across the entire world. And just like any other product, the market will always choose the option that gives them the biggest bang, pun intended, for their buck. The impact this productization of self has on a woman's psyche cannot be understated, because not only is she feeling pressurized both socially and financially to engage in increasingly explicit acts that she may have never even done in her own sex life, but she's also made increasingly aware of her own physical flaws outright, commenting that her breasts are too small, her stomach too bloated, she needs a boob job, she's aging, or her nose is too big. Even for a healthy woman, these types of comments are really hurtful for any human, really. But for someone whose self-worth and financial stability are directly tied to her physical appearance and level of sexuality, they cut far deeper into her psyche. The comparison trap and competition with other creators can push women into increasing levels of mental health issues, substance abuse, and unhealthy lifestyles. Using stimulants like cocaine and amphetamines to stay skinny and blunt their appetite, getting excessive plastic surgery and other operations to fix their quote-unquote flaws, getting implants, or using illegal anabolic steroids to have a worthy booty, falling into anorexia or bulimia. For all the praise and validation they receive online, a lot of that is negated from the relentless onslaught of harsh judgment, bullying, and shame. And again, these feelings are amplified because their body and sexuality are the product and what men are mostly paying for. If a business believes that their core product is faulty or insufficient to generate the profits they want, the natural response of the business is to fix the product and satisfy the customer. And that's exactly how these models feel and what they're doing. The aftermath is often a chaotic whirlwind of endless operations, depression, diminished self-esteem and worth, as the creator violates her own boundaries to sustain her income, lifestyle, and please her subscribers' endless sexual appetite. And for the men listening who want to make a difference here, are you prepared to be a catalyst for change in a society increasingly consumed by superficial connections and the devaluation of men and women? Rise above this social decline perpetuated by platforms like OnlyFans and commit to becoming a strong, grounded man who fosters meaningful relationships and thrives in all aspects of life. You can take the first step by visiting knowledgeformen.com/OF and access the training I designed to help you transform your life, your masculinity, and your relationships. It's time to make your move and embrace your evolution into the man you were meant to be. Just click the link in the description or go to knowledgeformen.com/OF. But we haven't even scratched the surface on how far this rabbit hole really goes, unveiling the exploitation, innocence status, and the virtual prostitution phenomenon. This headline might sound intentionally provocative, but it's not. It's actually an accurate reflection of the trend that we're seeing with OnlyFans creators right now that I don't think the company is even aware of. Because what most creators don't anticipate and what most men don't realize is how the ecosystem of OnlyFans not only impacts a woman's psyche and future opportunities, but quite literally traps her legally and financially in a life of virtual prostitution. Let me explain what's happening. Number one, fallen angels, abusive uncles, surprise taxes, and the dangers of lifestyle debt. I've been slapped with my fair share of unexpectedly large tax bills. For those of us without a W-2, where taxes are deducted automatically, it's a tale as old as time. I've seen firsthand how challenging it can be for an entrepreneur or a freelancer or a business owner when they receive an unexpected large bill from Uncle Sam, aka the IRS. And the same story plays out with OnlyFans, creators as they are W-9 contractors to OnlyFans. The only difference is for business owners, contractors, and freelancers, entrepreneurs, the solution is to improve their skills in their field of work, keep working hard and growing their assets. OnlyFans models who make it find themselves entangled in a web of debt to the IRS, which prolongs their stay on the platform beyond their intentions and compels them to escalate their level of explicit content to stay above water. You see, when a woman earns, let's say, $200,000 a year as an OnlyFans model and is suddenly confronted with an unexpected tax bill of $70,000, in most cases, she may have never encountered such a significant tax liability before, as previous jobs resulted in refunds. She now has few, if any, job prospects that could pay this off while paying her bills, and if she leaves OnlyFans, then she's now on a path into financial ruin. For tens of thousands of OnlyFans creators, this is the exact scenario they find themselves in, as the IRS is tracking down OnlyFans models who evade taxes now. And when they're staring down the barrel of a multiple 5 to 6 figure tax bill that increases with interest and with limited professional opportunities that come anywhere near their OnlyFans income for most, many models feel that their only option is to delve even deeper into the OnlyFans world. As we discussed earlier, this means that a creator must continually push the boundaries of sexual content to keep up with the subscribers' demands because they're competing. What initially began as an empowering model for some creators to experiment with has unfortunately turned into entrapment on the platform, as it's the only way that the creator sees to pay off their mounting debt. But this is only half the equation, because for many of these models, their tax burden isn't the only thing that increases as they earn more. Enter the social lifestyle upgrade. High-rise apartments, new luxury cars, extravagant clothing and jewelry, exotic vacations. The easy money swiftly leads to a grander, costlier way of life that becomes their new normal. As she posts pics and stories on social media, she is receiving so much validation that it encourages her to keep going down this path. But not everyone knows how she's doing this. Once she's gotten a taste of the high-rise, the nice clothes, and the luxury cars, it's hard to go back to that shared apartment with no air conditioning, no laundry, and an old car missing a fender that just smells. Caught in the clutches of mounting tax debt, consumer debt, the normalization of their social lifestyle upgrades, and a need to uphold their new status, many OnlyFans models find themselves trapped in a prison of their own making. A prison they can only escape by going further down the rabbit hole of exploiting and productizing their sexuality. What started out as a strategy to gain control of their life causes them to lose control of their life as they feel forced to go deeper into the platform beyond their initial intentions. By unintentionally limiting their own options, they discover that publicly engaging in OnlyFans may restrict their career prospects, as many employers are reluctant to hire or may even terminate employment upon discovering their involvement in explicit content online. Given their age, experience, education level, and connections, the most viable option to pay off the mounting tax debt and sustain their lavish lifestyle often appears to be the continuation of creating increasingly explicit content for most. Thus, the cycle perpetuates, leaving these creators trapped in a complex interplay of financial obligations, restricted career opportunities, and an escalating need to fuel their chosen lifestyle to uphold their status by further exploiting and monetizing their bodies and sexuality. What's more, just like with any other lifestyle shift, hedonic adaptation starts to kick in. Acts that were once deemed unthinkable gradually become normalized, blurring the lines of once valued personal boundaries and moral compass. Actions that were initially justified as one-time occurrences to alleviate a debt or fund an extravagant experience gradually become the new baseline of explicit content that they do consistently. Before long, what started out as virtual prostitution becomes real-life prostitution, functioning as a glorified escort, catering to the whims of the affluent, surrendering themselves to the highest bidder. But if this is the only trap that they fall into, they're actually the lucky ones. Number 2, the hidden cost of the third-party talent agencies. Just sign here. A new breed of third-party talent agencies has emerged, exerting control over the model's accounts and siphoning off a significant portion, ranging from anywhere 30 to 50% of their earnings. Scandal after scandal has erupted, spreading like wildfire through the media. The unsettling truth is laid bare. Models find themselves ensnared, exploited, and trapped in this intricate web of deceit and manipulation. The agency's success hinges upon the achievements of the model. Their core focus revolves around delivering what users value the most, particularly explicit content. Therefore, the agency's business model is intentionally structured to consistently steer towards increasingly intense sexual content, as it generates the highest demand, and their aim is to optimize for profits with each account managed. If a model initially enters the agency with strict opposition to such content, the agency cunningly agrees while employing a calculated strategy to wean them in. Over the span of several months, the agency relentlessly pushes the limits, promoting content that promises greater financial rewards. As the model witnesses a remarkable improvement in their income and lifestyles, courtesy of the agency's direction, the agency seizes this opportunity to exploit their newfound comfort. Succumbing to the allure of increased income and lifestyle, the models become increasingly compliant, ultimately surrendering their autonomy to the agency's demands of more aggressive sexual content. The magnitude of deception and deceit in play is nothing short of staggering, leaving us questioning whether OnlyFans itself is even aware of what's happening with these agencies. Reports of misconduct from agencies have ranged from these companies publishing creators' nudes and sex tapes without consent or in the agreed upon marketing channels. Companies threaten creators with six-figure penalties for breaking contracts or refusing to do certain types of work that was laid out in the contract but didn't make sense to the creator when they signed. Creators and account managers being forced to work 100+ hours a week, even over holidays and during family emergencies, despite not being informed of such expectations when they initially joined. Not paying the agreed upon payment terms they were entitled to. In many cases, these contracts from third-party talent agencies, which lack proper oversight and anyone can really start, have been found to be unfair and even unlawful in some cases. In the model's pursuit of help and increased earnings, young creators often find themselves enticed by the allure of these talent agencies. Faced with the daunting task of managing their growing accounts with hundreds or even thousands of subscribers messaging them all at once, they seek solace in the promise of professional support. The agency's enticing offer seems almost too good to be true. They promise a life where logging into their accounts becomes a distant memory, where earnings soar effortlessly, and where a mere few hours of monthly photo shoots is the only requirement. It is an irresistible offer that beckons with the allure of ease and untold financial rewards. Overwhelmed by the amount of work on their accounts and unsure of where to turn to without fear of judgment, the models place their trust in the silver-tongued representatives of the agencies. With their rehearsed sales pitches, these smooth operators exploit the vulnerability of these young models, who are unlikely to seek guidance from their parents or consider seeking legal support until it's too late. The genuine need for assistance becomes a precarious vulnerability skillfully manipulated by those who seek to profit from the creator's naivety, insecurities, and their bodies. When faced with the possibilities of a $100,000 fee for damages if they decide to exit their contract or refuse to engage in a scene they never agreed to, they simply submit to the agencies and do as they're told in the pursuit of more. And they're doing it on a platform that promotes empowering women and giving them control over their lives and income. The great irony is that many people who decide to pay for an OnlyFans subscription do so in part because they believe it's the more ethical option for the model. By paying for subscriptions, you know that the creator is of age, consenting to the content being posted, and are earning 80% of what you're paying. At least that's what we're all led to believe. But as more stories break, it's becoming clear that there's a far darker and more twisted side to the rise of OnlyFans with the help of third-party talent agencies at the helm than any of us had ever realized. And every day, young women are being forcibly exploited through financial penalties, unfair and often unlawful contracts to engage in acts they never consented to or no longer wish to do. Maybe they got into a relationship. Number 3, beneath the glitter, exposing the realities of content houses. The third-party talent agencies lease opulent homes in exotic destinations and whisk their talent away to create explicit content amidst a whirlwind of hedonistic indulgences. These experiences are saturated with carnal pleasures, drugs, bottle service at exclusive clubs, and sumptuous dining experiences. For many women, this represents an exciting adventure into uncharted territory they only saw on TV. As they venture beyond the confines of their home state or country for the first time, the intoxicating thrill of an all-expenses-paid trip clouds their judgment, obscuring the true nature of the events unfolding around them. The normalization of such debauchery, reinforced by the presence of others whom the models may even look up to as OnlyFans influencers who willingly engage in such sexual acts and make more than they do, creates a powerful incentive to blindly follow suit. Driven by this influence, they are compelled to push the boundaries of content creation further and further. And when confronted with extravagant hospitality and the power of the law of reciprocity, where past favors create a psychological obligation to comply in the future, the resistance to creating requested content that the model might have previously considered inappropriate becomes increasingly challenging. The irresistible allure of complimentary vacation, social pressures, and luxurious accommodation serves as a potent enticement, perpetuating a cycle of submission and deeper entrenchment within the platform and the level of explicit content they are producing. This is not the sordid, clandestine world of traditional adult industry with its seedy back alleys and sketchy characters. Instead, the veneer of glamour and decadence serves to mask the underlying schemes of agencies that orchestrate these social events, usually on a quarterly basis, to maintain their talent's enthusiasm and unwavering loyalty, all while blithely disregarding that they are falling deeper into the rabbit hole of explicit content creation. It is a stark reminder that the seductive veil of glamour can blind us to the exploitation that lurks beneath, urging models to question if the fleeting taste of indulgence is truly free. Number 4, chasing darkness, the dangers of seeking validation through explicit content and strangers. In a world where self-worth becomes intertwined with the metrics of subscriber count and monthly payouts, content creators are confronted with an unsettling truth. As they lay bare the most intimate parts of themselves, they are judged by the whims of an erratic audience, their worth dictated by the ebb and flow of their subscribers' imagination. The omnipresent success stories of those who have struck gold online and the model rank they proudly display on the account's home pages creates a powerful undertow, pulling creators towards the production of ever more explicit content. This emotional storm captures even the most resilient models, thrusting them into the tumultuous grip of self-doubt and a diminished perception of their own worth, in a desperate frenzy to reclaim the intoxicating allure of growth and popularity. Many models forsake the very guiding principles that initially drew them to the platform. In the uncharted world of online content creation, young models often find themselves confronted with extreme and disturbing requests. Initially, they may dismiss these demands, but as their desire to maintain relevance intensifies, they gradually become more receptive to exploring uncharted territories. Women often find themselves inundated with outlandish and perverse demands from their subscribers, sometimes even consenting to perform these acts in an attempt to please their audience, especially if under the influence of substances. As a result, models find themselves engaging in acts that were once unthinkable, such as multiple sexual partners, gangbangs, partaking in sexual acts with everyday household items, and even extreme acts that most would find disturbing and click out of. This descent into sexual depravity is not an abrupt fall that happens on day one, but rather a gradual, insidious slide down a slippery slope into darkness. Over time, models may find themselves incrementally escalating the level of degradation in their content, as each new request appears only slightly more extreme than the last. This slow erosion of boundaries ultimately leads to a dangerous and destructive path, potentially leaving individuals involved with lasting emotional and psychological scars. As creators become more immersed in this digital environment, they gradually lose touch with their values and principles, succumbing to the pressures and desires of an ever-hungry audience. The relentless pursuit of improving their rank through progressively more explicit content exacts a toll on their self-esteem and subtly downgrades their mental health. This begs the question, are the creators chasing fame and fast cash truly in control of their destinies? Or are they mere puppets manipulated by the insatiable desires of a faceless audience? As the lines between self-expression and exploitation blur, each model must grapple with the cost of their aspirations. Is the pursuit of fame and fortune with your own body truly worth the sacrifice of one's dignity, self-respect, and ultimately, their soul? This unsettling question lingers, challenging us all to reevaluate the delicate balance between ambition and integrity in the age of a limitless exposure. And for men who want to rise above the social decline fostered by platforms online, and you see what's happening, and you want to take a stand to become a powerful, grounded man who cultivates authentic relationships and flourishes in every facet of your life, Men can take the first step by visiting knowledgeformen.com/OF or click the link in the description, and you can get access to a training that I've created for you to help you revolutionize your life, career, and relationships. Now is really the moment to seize the opportunity and embrace the transformation into the man you're destined to be. And trust me, we're just getting started on uncovering how deep this rabbit hole truly goes. OnlyFans, the double-edged sword of fast fame and long-term devaluation. Even if we consider all of these factors, arguments can still be made that for some women, OnlyFans is actually a good choice. And if she has a high level of self-esteem, financial education, and the ability to set strong boundaries for herself, seeks legal support before signing any contracts, then the risk of financial entrapment or falling prey to competitive impulses reduce dramatically. Yet even for these women, there are often unforeseen risks to pursuing the creator lifestyle, risks that many women aren't aware of until it's too late. Number one, the evolutionary perspective. Why quality men struggle to view former OnlyFans models as long-term partners. What most models fail to consider is the problem of virtual impurity and how this impacts their value in the relationship market. Despite the significant wave of sexual liberation sweeping through our society, an inconvenient truth remains. Most quality men struggle to view women seriously when they have a history of posting explicit content online. Acknowledging this truth may not align with political correctness, and you may find it discomforting to hear. Nevertheless, it is a reality that has been chronicled extensively from women in numerous articles, exposing the challenges faced by former OnlyFans models when attempting to find quality partners with whom they can actually build a real life with. Former OnlyFans star Billy Beaver captured this dilemma, stating, "I just found out that apparently the reason why men can't date me, they say, I can't be with you because your history and your past. Even though they talk me up, they respect me, and they care for me so much." At first glance, this may appear unfair. After all, we all make our mistakes in the past, don't we? The only distinction is that on OnlyFans, stars filmed their past and profited from it for the whole world to see. This implies that even if they succeed in initially attracting a high caliber man, they fail to cultivate the crucial relationship and communication skills required to sustain a quality partner in their lives for the long term. In the midst of a life saturated with decadent revelry and jet-setting adventures, the once coveted notion of a conventional relationship loses its luster. It becomes easy to turn against the calm, reliable, and committed men they previously idolized, which, out of prior rejection from them, she now labels as dull, boring, and tiresome. Point one, she loses value to the quality men geared towards long-term monogamous relationships. Feeling free from her controlling ex of the past, who did not like her posting nude photos online for other men to pleasure themselves to, she then embarks on a relentless quest for stimulation to feel alive again, engaging in transient rendezvous with countless smooth-talking partners, sugar daddies, or immersing herself in flings with unstable, party-type individuals who embody a hedonistic, fast-moving life. Such impulsive, egocentric men, often driven by a desire to mend their fractured self-image, regard these models as mere trophies, only to discard them callously in favor of younger, more captivating replacements as time marches on, further tarnishing their view of these men. As the years unfold, these unrestrained experiences and sexual flings with untrustworthy individuals inevitably erode their worth in the eyes of these pleasure-seeking, party-loving men. So they have less opportunities with these men. Point number two, she loses value to the fun, party, lifestyle, or sugar daddy type men. Due to their physical attractiveness and insatiable appetite for sharing nude content online, they'll inevitably attract men, of course. Yet these men are only interested in hookups and view her as a popular sex object just to be conquered. These men will use them as temporary placeholders until they discover what they're truly searching for, and then quickly discard them like dolls, only to leave the woman hurt and rejected once again. Point three, she's emotionally traumatized by men, yet over time she becomes reinterested in the quality men who would treat her with respect and foster a lasting, committed relationship who want children. The issue is that she has spent her youth engaging in activities that deter quality men, who are either uninterested in women whose explicit content is widely accessible online or who have had countless sexual partners before him. And these men may already be committed to women who did not do those things and better aligned with their values and lifestyle that these types of men would seek in a long-term partner. This brings us to the question of who remains as potential partners for her. The pool of available men consists mostly of individuals lacking career growth, inner strength, or social status, qualities that do not meet her standards or spark any serious interest. The men who consistently pursue her often lack the value that she desires, particularly when compared to the high quality and exciting men from her past. She expects the same level of value from men, but in their eyes, her value has diminished as she has aged, and her past lifestyle has negatively impacted her perceived worth to these men. For some women. That won't be the case for all models, but it will be for many. However, when we delve deeper into the issue and confront some challenging questions, it becomes evident why men of quality are less attracted to women who have bared all on OnlyFans. Enter evolution and psychology. According to renowned evolutionary psychologist Dr. David Buss in his popular book, Bad Men, the criteria women employ to evaluate men for both short-term and long-term relationships are remarkably similar. This is not the case for men. Men tend to have much higher standards when considering women as marriage material compared to short-term sexual partners. The inconvenient truth is that the type of woman who chooses OnlyFans as a career path is less likely to be the kind of a woman a quality man would envision as a life partner, someone to have children with and introduce to his mother in most cases. Consider that she has a history of exploiting men for profit through sexual content when it wasn't even her messaging the guy. She carries a vast sexual history involving numerous characters, many of whom she may not even had a genuine connection with or even recall due to intoxication. There's a greater chance she has a history of substance abuse, traumas, and mental health issues that are well known in the adult entertainment industry. This stark truth suggests that the likelihood of finding peace and stability in such a relationship may be lower compared to being with a woman who did not earn a living through posting explicit content for the world to see. The significance of this weighs even more heavily when we consider that we are talking about high status men, the kind of men that women genuinely desire to date, marry, and build families with. These men have options, good options. Given the choice between two equally attractive women, a man is likely to choose the one who focused on self-improvement, developed professionally and personally, and has adequate relationship skills with a limited sexual history. Similarly, a high-value woman would likely choose a man with a track record of personal growth, stable career progression, and meaningful relationships over someone with a history of womanizing, short-term flings, broadcasting all of his sexual escapades online for profit, and excessive partying all the time. The answer is clear in both scenarios. It goes both ways. Sexual liberation is crucial. No one's arguing about that. But if women are looking for a rock-solid, long-lasting bond with a grade-A guy, don't ignore his values and preferences. I'm not suggesting women don the apron and channel their inner 50s housewife and wield that vacuum cleaner like a champ. Not at all. That's not what this is. However, if dodging the single-parent bullet and raising little ones in a loving environment is on the agenda, it's worth considering at least what these high-quality men look for and value in a long-term partner. If she's successful on OnlyFans, kudos, but consider this scenario. If she and her partner have a child and break up, her ex could use her explicit content against her in legal battles. This could lead to her paying the burden of legal fees and struggling to win the case. Furthermore, she may even face challenges in child custody and end up paying child support due to her high income. So let's face it. Sexual liberation has its upsides, but it can also be a double-edged sword when it comes to long-lasting relationships, raising a family, and posting nude content. Just a little food for thought as models ride the wild roller coaster of life, love, and those pesky sex tapes all over the internet. Number 2, short-term gains, long-term losses. The career risk of OnlyFans. One of the most overlooked risks of pursuing a career through OnlyFans is the significant opportunity cost it imposes on the model's future career opportunities. In the realm of selling one's body as a product, there exists an undeniable truth, a limited shelf life for the stars of adult entertainment. Consider the fate of numerous porn stars who once dominated their industry in their early 20s, only to fade away as time passed. They're but distant echoes of their former glory, used up and devoid of fame and income. As time goes by, the allure of OnlyFans stars fades, and the pool of subscribers willing to pay for their content diminishes. The focus shifts to younger, more novel individuals, leaving them with a gradual decrease in income, which can force them into, as we know, more aggressive sexual content to remain relevant. Among the top OnlyFans accounts that started from scratch and earned 7 or even 8 figures annually, the average age is 25, unless they had pre-existing celebrity status, which can then extend their success into their 30s. There is not one female model in her 40s that is in the highest paid category. This serves as a stark reminder of the fleeting nature of adult entertainers. The majority of women on OnlyFans, enticed by the irresistible allure of making easy money and ego gratification, succumb to the blindness when it comes to the significance of playing the long game in life. Many of these models frequently disregard the importance of saving, investing, and acquiring financial knowledge. Their free time and disposable income are squandered on fleeting experiences and assets that depreciate over time, failing to invest in personal and professional growth or assets that could pave the way for a future prosperous life. As a result, they find themselves with little to show for the profound sacrifices they have made, ensnared in a ceaseless cycle of transient pleasures that steadily decrease her value and future. As they approach their late 20s or early 30s, the shimmering allure of their once flourishing OnlyFans accounts starts dimming at an accelerated pace, leading to a jarring realization that this transient path is not designed to last. It is at this point that they are compelled to confront their new reality, searching for a new path, enabling them to sustain their cherished lifestyle they loved so much. Yet for many of these models who spent years snapping content, their lack of marketable skills or high-value skills presents a grave challenge as they attempt to pivot into a new career that provides any similar level of pay. Even if they work hard and possess relevant skills, their public explicit content all over the internet and limited work experience create significant barriers, causing employers to perceive them as liabilities within the work culture. In a job market where the average corporate position receives a staggering 250 qualified applications for every single hire, employers don't need to take the risk when there are numerous qualified candidates available to choose from. While their peers were diligently investing their 20s in personal growth, acquiring bachelor's or master's degrees, building careers, and expanding their professional networks, many OnlyFans stars were immersed in the creation of explicit content, relying on sugar daddies for financial support and indulging in hedonistic escapades. This stark contrast leaves them at a significant disadvantage when it comes to pursuing a new career, serving as a disheartening reality check that can kill their motivation to continue seeking career alternatives off the platform. After years of an easy life filled with men covering the bill, many OnlyFans stars struggle to adjust to the demands of a conventional job with long work hours, scheduled lunch breaks, moderate pay, and a manager they despise, typical challenges faced at the beginning of any new career. While some may persevere for a few months or even years, many find themselves constantly reminiscing about the lifestyle of the past and eventually return to OnlyFans due to the path of least resistance to the lifestyle they miss. 20 years ago, this might have marked the end of the story. However, with the rapid rise of new technologies and artificial intelligence, even returning to OnlyFans may no longer be a viable option in the near future. The landscape is quickly shifting, and models must recognize the evolving nature of their industry and the potential obsolescence of their chosen path. Number 2, the rise of sex work terminators for increased profits. Since the emergence of ChatGPT, artificial intelligence has made remarkable advancements each month, particularly in the realms of image and video generation and deep fakes. Not long ago, creating an artificial persona online required extensive expertise, a background in film and computers, and access to cutting-edge technology found only in Hollywood. However, today, it can be achieved with a little more than an internet connection and a modest subscription fee. Already, there exist websites where one can generate artificial porn stars, customizing every aspect from their ethnicity to their physical attributes, all at a fraction of the cost compared to hiring a real human model. The primary objective of any business is to increase shareholder value. Now, envision the ramifications when the executives at OnlyFans realize that they can amplify their profits by an astounding 80%, which is what they pay out to models, amounting to over $4 billion through the substitution of human models with AI-generated counterparts. Why would they do that, you might ask? Well, these models could work tirelessly, 24/7 without compensation or the ability to refuse any sexual request. They would be impervious to emotional or psychological and physical harm, perfectly tailored to fulfill every conceivable fantasy and available all at a fraction of the cost. Coupled with AI chat scripts capable of engaging followers in seductive conversations and selling experiences with unparalleled proficiency based off of machine learning algorithms that have analyzed all the millions of historical transactions on the platform, the situation becomes undeniably alarming. While it may initially raise reservations among men to subscribe to an AI model instead of a real human one, but what happens when AI becomes indistinguishable from reality in a matter of months? This is no longer a realm of science fiction. The technology is already here and it's rapidly unfolding today, right now. With the potential for multi-billion-dollar profit increases, OnlyFans has a strong incentive to pursue AI-generated models fervently, reducing their dependence on costly human performers that may band together at some point against the company in the future. Where does this leave the current models on the platform? Simply put, they're headed towards obsolescence. While the introduction of identity verification and verified badges could salvage the careers of established creators, one must question why a company like OnlyFans would even consider such measures. By internally developing and promoting artificial models, companies in the adult entertainment industry stand to recoup billions of dollars that are paid out to performers. This leads to a vested interest in blurring the lines between reality and artificially generated fiction for sexual pleasure. Did the women win? As the narrative unfolds, it becomes increasingly evident that the majority of the models on the platform were mere pawns in a game with little concern of their future. The once promising window of opportunity for models to earn significant income with minimal effort is rapidly closing with each passing month. In stark contrast, the average OnlyFans model barely scrapes by earning a meager $150 per month. While millions fail to realize their dreams of stardom through the platform, this leaves them facing a lifetime of limited opportunities, impacting not only their own lives, but also the lives of their future partners, children, and families. Only a small amount truly reap the benefits of this narrative, while the majority were left with shattered dreams, broken spirits, and enduring hardships. The true winners in this tale are the men who created and invested in the platform, as well as the third-party talent agencies that exerted control over every aspect of the models' lives, taking a large percentage of their payouts. It becomes painfully apparent that the models were caught in a web of exploitation for profit. Once again, they endured online abuse, suffered from real-life stalking, faced with bleak prospects for their careers and relationships, and witnessed their intimate content circulating without consent or compensation across the vast expanse of the internet. As we contemplate these questions, we must also consider whether men would have pursued the same path if given the opportunity. Perhaps the recent cryptocurrency frenzy in 2021 and the whole dot-com bubble of 2001 offers insights into human behavior around fast cash and FOMO, where only a select few managed to amass wealth, while the majority suffered significant losses, blindly following the herd. Amidst these sobering reflections, we are compelled to question the true essence of this phenomenon. Was it genuinely about empowering women? Or was it an illusory get-rich-quick scheme that capitalized on the vulnerabilities of women in a world increasingly entrapped with financial hardship, rising inflation, and high taxes? Did a struggling economy and a failing education system in the United States, which ranks 38 in math, create an environment where women were faced with challenges in making a living and ultimately believed that OnlyFans was their best option? Ultimately, it is clear that women have paid a steep price in this story. Their very souls bear the weight of the sacrifices made in the pursuit of a dream they desperately wanted to believe in. A dream that led millions of innocent women to succumb to temptation, exposing themselves and permanently sharing their most intimate moments with the world through a single click. Fighting back with growth, purpose, and being a strong leader in a leaderless society. As a society, we are compelled to question whether the price of immediate gratification is worth the enduring devaluation of the physical, mental, and spiritual well-being of an entire generation. The eventual impact of platforms like OnlyFans on our society and the women involved is still unfolding today. At first glance, such platforms seem innocuous, seemingly granting women control over their sexuality and income. However, the reality proves to be far more disempowering over time. The need to remain relevant, compete with newer and more attractive models, and sustain earnings pushes many creators to escalate their content to progressively explicit levels often beyond their initial intentions. The ramifications of this experimentation for a modest sum can be lasting, influencing their career opportunities, family life, and romantic relationships. If they seek assistance and enter into a contract with a third-party talent agency, they risk entangling themselves in a modern form of virtual exploitation. The women on OnlyFans are not mere faceless entities online. They are our daughters, sisters, nieces, mothers, and friends. Many had ambitions to become teachers, doctors, nurses, lawyers, and working professionals, but became ensnared in this web. Men can help prevent this social decline, because the hard truth of all of this, the driving force behind this descent, lies in the very demand itself. Each man who subscribes to the models is in effect actively participating in the diminishing of male value, tarnished relationships, and the degradation and entrapment of women. On the surface, what appears innocuous and even ethical is stealthily driving a social decline that could leave a lasting impact on society for generations to come. Ask yourself these questions. Do I want to embody such a man? Do I wish to support a platform that nudges women further down a darker path? Do I want to play a role in a novel form of sexual exploitation where women's lives are ravaged by the pursuit of independence? Am I willing to endorse the devaluation of men and participate in a societal shift where increasing numbers of women view men as mere sources of financial support rather than as meaningful partners and allies in life's journey? Some men hearing these words will simply disregard them. I get it. The stark reality is that when virtuous men remain passive and take no action, it paves the way for chaos. Men must grasp the true implications of their actions and rise to the challenge of evolving into a more resilient and grounded man. The kind of man who resolutely declines to endorse platforms that contribute to the erosion of feminine virtues and the downfall of masculinity. The kind of man who is adept at discovering and attracting a high-quality partner in the real world rather than succumbing to the transient, paid artificial connections. The kind of man who refuses to passively partake in the disintegration of traditional relationships and values. This man serves as an authentic role model not only for his family and community, but also for women. Through his actions, he sets a precedent for others to emulate, going beyond just words and social media complaining. His approach to life is intentional and influential, defying societal conventions and standing as a powerful act of defiance that speaks volumes to others. If you were prepared to answer the call to become the strongest version of yourself and set yourself apart from the multitude of men who remain silent and complacent about building a better future and society, your next move is very clear. You can click the link in the description or go to knowledgeformen.com/OF to embark on the journey and access training I have developed on how to become a strong, grounded man who can forge the relationships, career, and life of his dreams. Change begins with your next move and the evolution into this man. It's that important. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, share this video, so together we could really make a difference. I spent a lot of time, a lot of money to make this for you, to make it compelling, to make it engaging, because I think that this really matters. So please share it. Let's get the word out there. Until next time, guys.